How's it going, everyone? First, I'd like to thank all of you for tuning in to continue going through my case with me. For those of you that's just tuning in, well, first, let me start by saying my name. My name is Roshan C. Evans. I was born in Hollywood, California. I was raised in Flint, Michigan. I live here in Houston, Texas, and I have experienced the judicial system in a way that many people should never want to experience, and I am sharing my story here. I've been sharing my story for quite some time now, for years, trying to figure out how to break free from this, trying to figure out how to clear my name and get this invisible chain from around my neck that no one can see except for me. It's been a struggle, but I won't give up, and I've been surviving. So this case study that we're going over, and again, names, I may make a mistake and say the name by habit in this video, but if I do, it will be cut from the YouTube channel. This case that we're going over today, it goes all the way back over 20 years ago. That's when it first started for me. I was 17 years old, dealing with a female that was 1 year and 4 months younger than me, that snuck out of her home, that I literally had no idea snuck out of her home until after the fact. And I'm still dealing with this because I ended up signing a plea deal for leniency, so I didn't have to go to prison for 15 years at the age of 17. The deal I signed was a 2-year misdemeanor, but we will get to all that in this paperwork. So if this is your first time, again, chiming in, I would highly recommend you check out the first video first, which go through my story and it tell you how I ended up getting here. And my second video that we went over, it was the investigative report. So instead of you just getting my story, which I encourage everyone to go and get the other half of the story, because a one-sided story means nothing, because it's always two sides or more to a story. So I'm telling you my side of the story, along with court documents and paperwork to support the things that I'm telling you about. And I'm actually learning about things still right now to this day, going through this paperwork, that I did not know back then as a 17-year-old kid. So I would highly recommend you go watch the first video. It's just an overview of my case. The second video, I believe it should be labeled investigative report or investigation report. That's going to go through this investigation report that got us here today. Today, we will go over the charges that I was facing because of this young lady sneaking out of her home, that I will try to withhold her name as much as possible throughout this video. It comes by habit, but if it slips, I will cut the name, and you can actually go pull the name from the case reports from this open records request, because these are open records that I am going through here with you. I will give you each and every case number. That way, if you want to pull these documents, you can actually pull each and every last one of these documents yourself. So today we're going to go over the charges, and then we're going to have a few more videos after this one. The next video is going to be a sentence report. This one I actually signed a plea deal and didn't have any sentencing guidelines. This will be the next report. I actually signed a plea deal not even knowing I signed a plea deal, actually. Then the video after the sentencing arrangement with no sentencing guidelines, we're going to go through the actual sentencing guidelines next. So they call this a cops agreement. When you get somebody to agree to whatever you want them to agree to in order to avoid maximum punishment, and then they withhold how they gonna actually sentence you until the day they actually hand you down a sentence. It's they call it a cops agreement, which personally I believe should be illegal, especially for a kid in a courtroom by himself that's doing anything in his power to not get any time. And these people literally was talking about 15 years, and I was 17. It was like my life again in prison. But after we go through the sentencing guidelines and then the sentence that I actually received, I have a surprise packet that I'm going to take you through. And again, you will get all court case numbers. That way you can pull up all these records. Everything that I'm talking about and reading to you, you can pull it up yourself. And again, this is only my story. My story is only half of the story. And then you have the courtroom story. But I would highly suggest you get the third party story if you want the full story. And I believe that third party story should set me free. I mean, I thought these reports should set me free, you know, but I'll let you come to that conclusion after we go through all these papers. So, I'm going to do a brief recap before I actually get into this paperwork. Again, if you want everything in a full recap, go watch the first video. It'll tell you exactly how I got here. So, long story short, at the age of 17, I lived a life where I didn't actually stay with my parents. I lived in the streets, and I thought I knew more about life than what I did. Obviously, I didn't, and this is why I'm here sitting in front of you today. I was a young, naive kid, and I didn't think life was as dangerous as it was until I got a little older and had to learn the hard way. It was a lot of things that I had no clue about. I never knew exist, and it was things that took place and happened that I really would not have expected to happen to me as a 17-year-old, but yet it did. And at the age of 17, when I was living with friends, a female ended up sneaking out of her home that I never had sexual intercourse with ever in life, not once, never even a kiss. Ends up sneaking out. We attempted to do whatever we wanted to do, which was have sex. I could not get an erection to save my life this particular night at all. Like, all we did was touch each other, and that was it. And everything was, what's the word I'm looking for? Consensual and mutual. But this girl ended up getting in trouble, going home, and trouble went from an in-home situation to an out-home situation, and I'm dealing with this today. The girl did end up having sex that night, but it was with a guy named Rashad. And again, if you want to go through all the details, watch my first video. I don't want to take up a lot of time recapping everything from the first video when I really want to get through this paperwork. But I must say, what they did was consensual. It was not any problems. Nothing happened out of line, out of order. But if you want to factor in the law, then technically he would have been kind of considered more of an adult, but I don't personally think that he or anybody else should get in trouble for something consensual because of doing something that someone else wants, especially when they was the ones that snuck out of the home. And he hadn't gotten in trouble. You know, I don't think he should get in trouble, and yet I don't think I should be here either. But I am the one here. So, initially, when this girl snuck out of her home and we attempted to do what we wanted to do, and I couldn't get an erection, and when we dropped her off at home, before we dropped her off, when she told us not to drop her off at her house and to, drop her back off at the corner, I'm not thinking anything of it. I watched her walk in a direction that was not in a direction going towards her home. Now, I don't know what time she actually got home. I don't know what happened in between the time that we dropped her off and the time I got sentenced for this charge, for the most part. But one thing I do know is that the next morning, which was a few hours later, one of the guys that was at that house told me the police was looking for me for kidnapping. And I totally thought he was playing, I thought he was joking, because I know nothing took place to where nobody was kidnapped, so it's like, yeah, okay, whatever, and again, I didn't hear any, sincerity, in his voice when he was telling me that the police was looking for me for kidnapping. It was like, hey bro, the police looking for you, came to the house looking for you, talking about kidnapping. It was like, yeah, right. He was like, for real. It was like, alright. He like, alright, and it was like that, it was like, it was nothing. But the charge quickly changed from kidnapping to rape. So when a few weeks down the line, when I bumped into my assistant wrestling coach, which is a police officer, and he asked me what have I got myself into, and it's like, what are you talking about? And he telling me how I know what he's talking about, and my mind go back to what my friend was telling me about the police looking for me for that kidnapping, but the charge turned to rape. And again, nobody raped anyone, no one kidnapped anyone, nobody forced anyone to do anything that they didn't want to do. So I ended up telling my assistant wrestling coach, which his name was Officer Cheney, by the way, everything that happened from the beginning to the end. And he told me to turn myself in and write a written statement of everything that I told him in the morning. And I did that. But before I did that, I called the girl to see what was going on, and she wouldn't talk to me. And I didn't understand why. I ended up writing a 16-page paper stating everything that happened from the beginning to the end when we went to go, from the time I called her, from the time I went to go pick her up, from her telling me not to come to her house and to meet her at the corner, from her getting in the vehicle, the first thing that she did without saying hi, no kissing, no nothing, went straight in my pants, and she was touching me. I was touching her under her shirt. From the time that we rode to the house, I wrote down and told them about how when we got to the house, she went in the house, which there was other people in the house, and me and my homeboys that went to go pick her up sat outside to talk for a few. We was laughing and joking. I told them that by the time I went in the house, I didn't see her and didn't know where she was at. So when I asked, they told me she was upstairs. So I went upstairs. She happened to be in my room, butt naked, under my cover. I told them I did the same exact thing. I told them I took my clothes off. I got in the bed with her. I told them that I attempted to have sex with her, and I couldn't because it was people standing on the side of the bed. It was people in the back of the room, and it was people looking through the vent and standing in the door, and it wasn't a comfortable situation. I was the youngster in the house. Everybody else that was in the house was older than me. They was college students, like 2 to 3 years older. And it was my first time having a female over. And I couldn't. I told them how I couldn't get an erection. I attempted to do what we wanted to do. I told them that I could only get a medium and not a hard. And every time I tried to go in, it would get soft again until I had to play with it to get it on a medium, and all I can do is ejaculate on the floor, which there was her coat on the floor, and I guess some of my semen must have got on her coat. I told them we put our clothes back on, we walked back down the stairs. I told them that she stopped walking about maybe 2 stairs literally downstairs from the bottom, and at the bottom of the stairs on the opposite side of the stairwell, it was a guy with a name that was almost just like mine. I told them how in my 16-page paper how they was whispering back and forth to one another, and how they was laughing and joking and looking at me and smirking, and I told them how I ignored them and I didn't pay them any attention. I told them how this young lady that snuck out of her home to be grown held hands and walked back upstairs with another young man with almost the same name as mine that was 2, maybe 3 years older than me, walked back upstairs and did what they wanted to do, and it was consensual. I didn't go back upstairs. I don't know what all took place upstairs, but one thing I do know is that when they came back downstairs, they hung out for the rest of the night. And they hung out pretty much until that girl's mama stopped calling my phone. And then we dropped her back off. And when we dropped her off, she told us, do not take me back to my house. Drop me off at the corner. Again, I'm not thinking nothing of it. We dropped her off at the corner. We watched her go in another direction. The next morning, police looking for me for kidnapping. That immediately turned into rape. So, let's get through some of these files. These is not a lot to actually read word from word like I did on the investigative report. I read it word from word and then broke it down. This investigative report, it's more so like kind of laws. It's just some things that I want to outline for you today before we get out of here. But on this investigative report, there's one thing that I noticed, and I literally noticed this like, was it 2 weeks ago? And I know, wait, let me tell you what's my case number first before we go. My case number is going to be, I should have had that prepared. My case number is going to be 00-05992-FH. Again, that's case number 00-05992-FH. I highly recommend, if you want to take a look at this paperwork, it's public records. Pick it up, that way you can see what everybody said at the time and what we're still saying right now today, and whose story changed and whose hadn't. I got 2 case numbers for this charge. Actually, one is for misdemeanor. Oh, there they go. So my district court, before it moved over to circuit court, the case number was 00-438FY. Again, that's 00-438FY. And then when they moved it over to circuit court, the case number was 00-0059992-FH. But what I noticed literally about 2 weeks ago is this date up here where it's highlighted. I know you can't really see that, but this date is significant to me, and I'm going to tell you why in this charging block. So in my paperwork, which we're going to get to that as well, but I'm going to tell you before I go through this that they said I signed a plea deal on May 1st. Now, if I signed a plea deal on May 1st, I know every time I went to court I signed paperwork. As a 17-year-old kid, I signed paperwork, but I had no idea literally I signed any plea deals. I didn't even think I had accepted a plea deal until the day before my 18th birthday, which was May 27th. But they said I signed a plea deal on May 1st. So this date right here is significant because it is April 28th of 2000. So the reason that this date is significant to me in this paperwork is because of the charging block. So my case, when I say rape, it's statutory rape. I need to add that in there. This is what they were saying took place, because no one was kidnapped, so they couldn't get me on that. No one was raped, so they could not get me on that either. But according to the law, Michigan law state, if you are 16 and under, you cannot legally have sex unless you are 18 years of age, or you have to have a parent or legal guardian's consent. So it says 16 and under, you cannot legally have sex unless you are 18 years of age, or you have to have a legal parent or guardian's consent. I was 17 years old. Me and the young lady was a year and 4 months apart. At the time, she was 15. Her birthday was in 3 weeks, which means she would have turned 16 while I was still 17, because we're a year and 4 months apart. We were peers, but she fell in that 16 and under, which means she cannot legally consent unless she have a legal parent or guardian's consent, or she have to be 18. But if you can't legally consent unless you are 18 years of age, when you are 16 and under, where does it put the 17-year-old? Because that just seemed like a gray area to me. What is this? I was 17. I wasn't yet 18. And I didn't fall in between 16 and under. But we were peers a year, 4 months apart. So, the law, according to the law, if you can't legally have sex unless you're 16 and under, they look at her as a minor, but me as an adult, and we were a year and 4 months apart. So my charge quickly changed to statutory rape. But this date, April 28th of 2000, my sentence date was May 1st, which means this was a few days before my sentence date. Somebody prepared this document that I was getting charged with a statutory rape. So this entire time we was going to court for these few months for me having a statutory rape charge. The day, a few days before I signed my plea deal on April 28th, somebody added an element to the sentence and put force or coercion. Now they put this force or coercion in here that don't go with the statute that they chose throughout my entire paperwork, throughout the whole time I've been going to court. And I'll tell you what I mean. So I was being charged with CSC, they charged me with CSC in the 4th degree. CSC in the 4th degree. It's 750.520 E as in egg 1A. Now, these codes mean something. I'm going to read you exactly what this means here. So, criminal sexual conduct in the 4th degree, we're reading right here on my highlight. I know you can't see that, but this is the charges filed. Now, criminal sexual conduct in the 4th degree did engage in sexual contact with the young lady, a person who was at least 13 years of age and under 16. Okay, under 16. And the defendant was 5 or more years older than the person. So, this highlighted paragraph states, criminal sexual conduct in the 4th degree did engage in sexual contact because I said that I was touching her and she was touching me, because that's what happened and that's all that happened. And we attempted to have sex and I couldn't, because I couldn't get an erection. But yet she had sex with someone else that was not me. But I'm the only one here. So criminal sexual conduct in the 4th degree, did engage in sexual contact with the young lady, a person who was at least 13 years of age and under 16. And the defendant was 5 or more years older than that person. We're a year and 4 months, by the way, apart. Contrary, and for those of you that don't know what contrary means, it's like opposite. So contrary to MCL 750.520 E1B. So contrary to 750.520 E1B. So contrary, opposite. So I'm going to read you what that code is, because it say opposite. So what they charged me with is opposite. So 750.520 E1B is here under the highlight, and it states, a person is guilty of criminal sexual conduct if the person engages in sexual penetration with a person if any of the following circumstances apply. So contrary to 755.20 E1B, B says force or coercion is used to accomplish the sexual penetration. Force or coercion includes, is not limited to any of the circumstances limited in section 520B1 FI to V. And then you have, okay, so contrary, so it's contrary, the opposite of force or coercion. And then the second one, which is also say contrary to, mean opposite of, MSA 28.78851B. Now, contrary, opposite of MSA 28.788-5-1-B is taking advantage of someone because they have special needs or they are slow. So it's the opposite of force and coercion. It's the opposite of taking advantage of someone because they are slow or have some kind of mental health issues, or maybe an elder, or whatever the case may be. And the case that they were charging me with was 750.520 E1A. So I'm charged with engaging in sexual contact with someone at least 13 years of age and under the age of 16, and the defendant was 5 or more years older than that person. So I must say, and like I've been saying since I've been 17, yes, we touched each other. She touched me, I touched her. You know, we was doing what we wanted to do. Nobody did anything that they should not have done. But we were not. Like, we did not have an age gap of 5 or more years. We are a year and 4 months. And this law that they was charging me with, after they couldn't get me on kidnapping, my statutory charge said that it's because she was under 16, older than 13, and we had an age gap of 5 or more years, according to this. And this is what we've been going to court for all these months that I was going to court for: statutory contact with a minor, even though we a year and 4 months apart. But on April 28th, a few days before I obviously signed some kind of plea bargain that I did not sign, somebody slipped in the words that don't go with the statute that they charged me with, and they wrote force and coercion. Even though that the young lady told the investigator, that she wanted to have sex with me, and that she felt that all of this was her fault. It is written in this investigation report on a previous video. But somebody was slick. A prosecutor was real slick with that, and they inputted the words force or coercion. I must say that was real slick. So on the next page again, this page here, it just goes through what they were attempting to charge me with, and then somebody a few days before I was sentenced slipped in that word force or coercion, but yet kept the statute the same. Something my lawyer didn't pay attention to. They didn't catch it, and I'm just now seeing this a few weeks ago. But again, the charge that I'm charged with, and you can look this up yourself, you could just type in this code on Google for Michigan law, and it'll tell you what I was being charged with, and that's 750.520D1E. A person is guilty of criminal sexual conduct in the third degree if the person engages in sexual penetration with another person, and if any of the following circumstances exist. That person is at least 13 years of age and under 16. And again, we were a year and 4 months apart. 1 year and 4 months apart. We did not have sexual penetration. We had sexual contact. And that's why the previous page in the description states I had sexual contact, because this is what I have been telling them since I've been 17 years old. And I wrote a 16-page paper telling them everything that happened from the beginning to the end, which nothing happened at all. Period. Never. The only thing that happened was an in-home situation that has affected me over 20 years of my life now. But now the charge, again, I must rewind a little bit. We went from kidnapping, they couldn't get me on that, to statutory, which means I touched a female under 16, over 13, even though we were a year and 4 months apart. But the law states you have to be over 5 or more years. And I was not. They couldn't get me on that either. And no one was forced. No one took anything from anyone. So you can't get me for kidnapping. You can't get me for rape. They want to get me for statutory because I told them what happened, and what I told them was exactly what happened. And what happened was we were being kids doing what we wanted to do, and guess we touched each other again. And I don't feel bad for it. I was 17 years old. But nothing happened out of line. But they couldn't get me for that either because I wasn't over 5 years. So they changed the charge again, which is here at the bottom. And again, I know you can't see this, but you can, all this is public record, so you can go pull it yourself. But what they charged me with was CSC in the CSC. Oh wait, I'm still on CSC in the third degree. I'm sorry. So this CSC in the third degree, it's a sentence that is punishable up to 15 years in prison. It's a criminal sexual conduct in the third degree is a felony punishable by imprisonment for not more than 15 years. 15 years. My lawyer told me I would get 15 years if I didn't sign that plea deal. He told me I was going to get this 15 years if I did not sign a plea deal for a lesser charge, a lesser statutory charge. And I was 17, and I was not going to do this 15 years. But the charge that they wanted me to sign to, since they couldn't get me on kidnapping, they couldn't get me on the felony statutory because I was not over 5 years older than the young lady. We were a year and 4 months apart, still a year and 4 months apart today, was this is the charge that they had me sign. So now they changed my charge again to criminal sexual conduct in the fourth degree misdemeanor. Section 520E 1A. A person is guilty of criminal sexual conduct in the fourth degree if he or she engages in sexual contact with another person and if any of the following circumstances exist. That other person is at least 13 years of age and less than 16, and the actor is 5 more years older than that person. But this law actually seems the same as the third degree, except one is a misdemeanor and one is a felony. They both statutory. I don't actually see the difference, except this one, the felony, I should say, is a maximum punishment up to 15 years in prison, and the maximum sentence on the misdemeanor statutory is criminal sexual conduct in the fourth degree is a misdemeanor punishable by imprisonment of not more than 2 years or a fine of no more than $500 or both. So what I signed to is a misdemeanor punishable up to a maximum of 2 years in prison. So again, I can't tell the difference between criminal sexual conduct in the third degree felony and criminal sexual conduct in a fourth degree felony. They look like they are the same exact Michigan law, except one come with 15 years in prison and the other one have a maximum of 2 years in prison. But I do know my lawyer told me if I didn't accept this plea deal for a maximum charge of 2 years, I was going to get 15 years in prison, and I wasn't doing that. So I ended up signing this plea deal. And obviously I must have accepted this plea deal before I accepted this plea deal. And I'm saying that because I signed something that I didn't know I signed until I was taking my plea deal. But we're going to get to that too. So again, I must say, and I want you to think about this. Obviously, nothing happened out of line, because if anybody thought anything happened out of line, there was no way they will be charging me for a misdemeanor, anything, because sex crimes is serious. So I feel like they gave me the lowest of the low charge, because to me it seemed like the mom was just pushing for me to get punished for something, and they had me sign for something, and if I didn't sign for that something, then I was going to get something more, and I didn't want that more. So I ended up taking this maximum 2-year misdemeanor criminal sexual conduct in the fourth degree, touching a minor. But again, it's been over 20 years and I still feel the effects of it. Like, I'm still registering. This here is a paper from when I talked to my assistant wrestling coach, Officer Cheney, and he told me to turn myself in the morning and tell him exactly, write down exactly what I told him in a written statement and turn myself in. I done that, and I spoke to a Sergeant Carol Sims. She was the investigator. She was the one who conducted this investigative report. She was the one I turned in my 16-page statement to, and I'm like 200% certain that 16-page statement that I gave her went to the prosecutor and ended up in some kind of hidden records, because the prosecutor don't want my 16-page statement to surface from when I was 17, because it states everything that I'm telling you now, which is nothing happened, but yet the prosecutor, with that, the help of that mother, that angry mother, wanted to push for a win, and they got it, because I accepted a plea deal that maybe I should not have accepted, but I did. But in this report, it says, Sergeant Carol Sims reports that I have been cooperative. So I want to throw this in there too. When I turned myself in as a 17-year-old for a sex allegation with my 16-page statement that I had wrote and told them what was going on, Sergeant Carol Sims released me back into the world and disregarded this as an angry parent. Now, I did get a court date, but she didn't arrest me. And you want to know why she didn't arrest me? Because this whole little case is BS. That's why she didn't arrest me. Because I can assure you, anybody else dealing with a sex charge, a real sex charge, you probably 9 times out of 10 when you go turn yourself in, you ain't coming back home. But not only did she let me go back out into the world and disregard this as an angry parent, but on this very next line it say, and I didn't know this either until I got this paperwork, it say, Sergeant Carol Sims respectfully recommend that I be set free, no jail, PR bond, supervised release. So she like, just give him supervised release, don't lock him up. And you want to know why? Because this is nothing but an angry parent and a scared daughter. This is the same Sergeant Carol Sims that the young lady that's a year and 4 months younger than me told her she wanted to have sex. Same sergeant in the other investigative report. But yeah, we didn't. Now all this, you see me flipping these pages here, is because these pages, it's nothing. You know, I got some highlights here, so on this report here, this is a complaint felony. So this, I'm assuming this would have been when the young lady was taken to the hospital with her mom when she walked in the house, and you know, the first question her mom asked her was, did that boy rape you? And she said yes. And again, you can clearly see that this young lady, when you read this investigation report, is trying not to get in trouble with her mom. So she's saying anything in her power to not get in trouble, but yet she's trying to save me as well and not get me in trouble too. I don't think that she thought that this would get out of hand the way that it got out of hand, but yet it got out of hand the way it got out of hand, and now I am the only one still here 20 years later trying to figure out how to fix this. But I'm assuming that this page will come from when she went to the hospital. On this page, the only thing it have is, again, what I'm being charged with, which is criminal sexual conduct in the 3rd degree. Engaged in sexual penetration with the young lady. Said person being at least 13 years of age, but under 16. But again, I wasn't the one who had sex with her. Someone else in the house with almost the same exact name as me had sex, consensual sex, I must put that on there, consensual sex with this young lady. So yes, she had sexual penetration, but that sexual penetration wasn't with me. But when I read this investigation report, that's a little bit twisted. It states that another person that went up there and tried to have sex with her and couldn't get an erection, which I'm the one who couldn't get an erection with her, and I didn't have a rubber. But in the report, it say the person who couldn't get an erection had a rubber, which I'm the one who couldn't get an erection, and I did not have a rubber. But it say this second person had a rubber in an investigation report. So what I'm wondering is, did he have sex with her with a rubber on? So I'm wondering, like, what kind of reports do they have? Do they have reports of her being penetrated? Because she was penetrated. The penetration just didn't come from me. I want to know, like, what happened, because this don't tell me what happened at the hospital. I want to know, did they do a rape kit? Did they pull any semen from her vaginal? You know, like, I just got questions. I want to know, you know, like this just tell me who was there. And this says the mother. Sergeant Carol Timms and another officer named Monica Tedford. And then a girl. You know, but it don't tell me what happened. I want to know what happened. You know, like, so this says they was going to charge me at this hospital with criminal sexual conduct in the 3rd degree, touching a minor from the ages of 13 and 15 under the age of 16, which is a 15-year felony. They setting me up for a 15-year felony for touching a minor that's a year and 4 months younger than me. Another thing I noticed, and I know you really can't see this paper either, but I don't know when this paper was created, but back to that front paper, when I say on the 28th, that prosecutor was setting up her win when she, you know, started adding stuff to my sentence, or my charge, I should say, the day before I signed. So it was like she was preparing my charge, which is statutory touching a minor, all the way up until right before it was time for me to sign as a kid with no support in the courtroom. She set me up, and then right before I was charged, what she did was, like, we going through apples, but then right before I get charged, she put something in my apple, like she tarnished the apple right before I took a bite. So she gave me these apples in line, and then right before I took the bite, she swapped my apple to a different kind of apple, you know, and I don't know what this did for her, you know, I don't know if this, but anyways, back to this. My birthday here. So again, I must go back to the law. It states you cannot legally have sex unless you are 18 years of or older, unless you have a legal parent or guardian's consent. Neither one of us was 18. We both was under 18. We were a year and 4 months apart. The law states that you are considered a minor if you are under the age of 16. Now, to be 18 would consider me an adult. She snuck out of her home back in December, which I know this is the time. Uh-oh. Let me fix that. Hold up. That alarm will keep going off. It's going to go off again in a minute. But ultimately, I thought I signed my plea deal on May 27th, which is the day before my 18th birthday. And you technically an adult when you're 18 years of age. And they backdated my birth date is what I noticed here. So my birth date is on May 28th. And I thought I signed my plea deal on May 27th, which is the day before my 18th birthday. But on May 27th is the day that I actually accepted my plea deal that I signed back on May 1st, that I signed and had no idea that I signed this plea deal on May 1st. But they backdated my birthday 2 days. So my birthday is May 28th. They backdated it 2 days. And I actually accepted my plea deal on the day before my 18th birthday. So now it appeared in my paperwork that I was 18 at least when I accepted my deal, and I was still 17 years old. Let's see, there's a few more points I'm going to point out, and I'm going to end this video. But again, I just want to show you that when I spoke to my assistant wrestling coach and he told me to turn myself in, I did that. I didn't think it was nothing for me to be scared of, or I didn't think, it was anything anyone can do to me. So I turned myself in. So they issued a warrant for me like 3 months later in March. I turned myself in March. So this here is the cancellation of my warrant, which obviously show you I wasn't hiding and running, because I didn't think I would even get in trouble for being a kid. But again, I had a lot to learn. It's pretty much wrapping up my paperwork. Let's see. My case number, this one here, I just highlighted, 00-0059992-FH. This is another form here. I know you can't see it, but if you, again, this is public records. You can pull this paperwork up. You can get it. You will see that my birth date is backdated 2 days. And it also show you the charge that we have been going through the entire, from the time I started court to my sentence date, and the charge that they was charging me with was touching a minor, CSC in the 4th degree, which is a felony up to 15 years. I signed for a misdemeanor, maximum up to 2 years. And again, I can't tell the difference between the two sentences, but the criminal sexual conduct in the 4th degree, you could look this up again. I'm going to give you the code. It's 750.520E1A, which is criminal sexual conduct in the 4th degree misdemeanor. A person who is guilty of a criminal sexual conduct in the 4th degree if he or she engages in sexual contact with another person, and if the following circumstances exist: that the person is at least 13 years of age but less than 16 of age, and the actor is 5 or more years older than that person. We're a year and 4 months apart. Yes, we did have contact, but so my attorney, I can remember my attorney telling me the day that I signed my plea deal. Again, I didn't even know I signed my plea deal. But the day I accepted my plea deal, I can remember my lawyer telling me, if I did not, he said, if you do not accept this plea deal, I can assure you will get 15 years in prison. And I was 17. I could not see myself doing 24 hours in a prison or jail, let alone 15 years. It took me a long time to get to 17, and I didn't want to do that time again behind bars. He told me that if for any reason that my judge don't think that I'm accepting this plea deal, or like if I give him any second guessing that I really want to accept this plea deal, then he was going to take the plea deal back and he was going to give me 15 years. And I didn't want to do 15 years in prison. So I ended up signing this plea deal. My lawyer told me if I signed this plea deal, he assured me that I would walk out of court as a free man. He assured me that all I would have to do was 36 months probation and 6 months on ankle monitor. That's what my lawyer told me. But yet, here we go, over 20 years, and I am still here dealing with this case. Defendant shall be placed on probation for 36 months and aid by the terms of probation. Defendant placed on electronic surveillance. So, when he told me what my sentence would be, 36 months probation and 6 months ankle monitor, the day that I got sentenced, the day before my 18th birthday, when the judge was reading my sentence to me, the judge said, Mr. Evans, you're going to have 36 months probation, 6 months ankle monitor, and then he looked at my attorney and he said, did you tell him he's going to have to register as a sex offender? I had no idea what a sex offender was. Like, I literally never even heard the term sex offender. Didn't know what it was. My lawyer said, no, Your Honor, I did not tell him. He bent down and said, you're going to have to tell the police where you live for the next 10 years. In my mind, as a 17-year-old kid, I said, tell the police where I live for 10 years? Fine. That beat going to prison for 15 years. I didn't want to sign this plea deal, but I had to. Because if I didn't sign to the 36 months probation and the 6 months ankle monitor like my lawyer told me, and then the judge adding sex offender registration in there, and then my lawyer telling me I only have to do it for 10 years, if I didn't accept this plea deal, it's a possibility I would have been in prison for 15 years. And I didn't want that. So I signed this plea deal. And that means I should have been off, I thought, at the age of 27. I am 38 years old now. I am still dealing with this case. My birthday is actually next month, and I'll be 39. But defendant shall be placed on probation for 36 months and abide by terms of probation. Defendant placed on electronic surveillance monitor. Defendant to have no contact with victim or anyone under the age of 16 unless accompanied by an adult. So they telling me at the age of 17 I can't have no contact with them. I'm sorry, y'all, but that thing's gonna keep going off every 15 minutes now. It does that at a certain time, unless I go in there and cut it off, but it'll stop my video. But at the age of 17, the judge told me I can't have any contact with nobody under the age of 16. Okay? Because I touched a minor that snuck out of her home. And then let's go ahead and wrap this video up. Actually, so it's gonna be 2 more points I'm gonna give you. Then I'm gonna give you the case numbers again. Then I'm gonna wrap it up. But another slick move that I noticed a few weeks ago, because I'm still going through this paperwork and I'm trying to figure out how to fix this case that should be not a hard case to fix. But so throughout all my paperwork for this touching a minor, see, I didn't have no support system in that courtroom. I didn't think I needed nobody. So I was in this courtroom by myself as a young kid. Nobody there to look over paperwork with me, go talk to prosecutors, or, you know, whatever's supposed to happen. I didn't have none of that. But my charge went from kidnapping to statutory felony, maximum 15 years for touching a minor, to touching a minor misdemeanor, maximum punishment 2 years. But before I can sign the plea deal with the statutory, again, the prosecutor slipped in the words force and coercion right before I signed my plea deal. On this page, all the way at the end, what I noticed, another slick move by the prosecutor, I must say. It's highlighted here. I know you can't really see it, but again, if you look up my paperwork, you can actually pull the file, because it's open records request. You can get, it'll show you my name, the other party that was involved, my prosecutor, my lawyer, the mother, everybody. But the code that I was being charged with, normally it would say 750.520E1A for statutory touching a minor under the age of 16. But what they did was they put 750.520E and then left it blank. So they stopped filling it in as to what I was being charged with. They left it blank. So they put the statute and stopped it at E. That way, in the future, as time go on, you can literally put whatever code you want behind the 750.520E. They left it blank. So it could be filled in however anybody wants. So in order to actually get the correct code, you have to do your research and go back through previous paperwork. Who got time to do that? Okay, so this one here, this is the last one I'm going to go over with you. The rest of these is just, it's pretty much nothing. But this one here, again, my charge went from kidnapping to CSC in the 3rd degree to CSC in the 4th degree. CSC in the 3rd degree is criminal sexual conduct in the 3rd degree. Statutory, meaning you touched a minor that is under 16, older than 13. And CSC in the 4th degree is the misdemeanor. Maximum punishment is 2 years. Same charge, same charge, different sentence. And this one is touching a minor under the age of 16, 15, or 13. No! I'm sorry, y'all. Again, at my phone ringing. This is, so it goes from kidnapping to criminal sexual conduct in the 4th degree, maximum punishment 15-year felony, to criminal sexual conduct in the 3rd degree, maximum punishment 2 years. And that's what I signed to. but yet they start leaving my charge blank after the E. So it's 750.520E, and they leave it blank. The rest of these pages is really nothing, or at least I don't understand them yet. But they have my charge number when it was in civil court. In my civil court case, which all of this is open records. Again, it's 00-438FY. Again, that's 00-438FY. And my civil case number is 00-05992-FH. So, I was charged with CSC in the 4th degree, maximum punishment up to 2 years in prison, or a fine $500, or maximum punishment 2 years and a fine of $500, which is statutory because the Michigan law states you cannot legally have sex unless you are 18 years of age or older. You cannot have over a 2-year age gap. And if you are under 16, you are considered to be a minor. Me and the young lady have a 1 year and 4 month gap. She snuck out of her home, and her angry mother pushed a charge on me instead of addressing a household issue. And now, me signing a deal on a 2-year maximum sentence, sitting in front of you today over 20 years later, still trying to figure out how to fix this case. That won't let me go. And one day, hopefully, I get it fixed. Before I end this video, and hopefully you come back and watch my last 3 videos. We're going to have my sentencing date when I signed my sentence. When I didn't know I signed my sentence and didn't have any sentence guidelines because I had a COBS agreement, to going through my next court date where they actually handed me down my sentence that I didn't know I signed for. We're going to go through some court transcripts so you can hear exactly what I said, exactly what my lawyer said, exactly what the prosecutor said, exactly what the mama said, and exactly what the young lady said. You're going to get her words, word from word. And then, your next question is probably going to be, why are you here? I hope that will be your next question. And then I have my surprise packet that I'm going to take you through now. You don't want to miss this surprise packet. This surprise packet is actually current. So, here we go. This is my last time cutting this off because I'm about to wrap up this video. Actually, thank you all for watching my video. Excuse my junky office, but junky office means you're actually putting in work. No, but again, thank you for watching. Thank you for tuning in again. I hope to see you on my next video, which would be my sentence date without my sentence guidelines. We're going to go through the court record so you can actually hear, the things that I said when I got the opportunity to speak in the courtroom at the age of 17, along with what my lawyer said when my lawyer was talking to the judge and the prosecutor and the mama, whomever spoke. Again, these videos are not to put anybody down. These videos are not to bash anyone. These videos is created to fix a system that's broken. These videos are created to fix a case that should have never happened. And these videos are for me to personally heal from something that I've been going through since I've been 17 that may have been hard for me to talk about, because when people hear the title, criminal, sexual, anything, it's just hard to talk about it because nobody want to hear what's next. No one cares about what's next. You know, all they see is the title, and once they get that title, many people just want to throw us all in the hole and set the hole on fire. But what people don't realize or forget is that our criminal justice system is not perfect. People are not perfect. Individuals are not perfect. And people do all sorts of things for all different reasons because they afraid of what somebody might think of them because they afraid of getting in trouble. People do make decisions because, you know, out of embarrassment, you know, and the reasons people do whatever they do beats me. You know, we all human. But my goal behind these videos is to fix something that's broken, and I just want to be free. And every time I get to tell my story, which a lot come with my story, it gives me healing. And I know that my story can heal other people as well. So my purpose is not to hurt anyone. My purpose is to free not only me, but a lot of other people out there that's just like me. Thank you for watching, and hopefully I'll see you on my next video, which will be sentencing date without guidelines. See you soon.